Hey guys, this is Miss Arlequin, and in this video we're going to be learning our new vocabulary words. They come from our next novel study, Flowers for Algernon, from the first 10 progress reports. Now everybody has their vocabulary sheet that you received in class. We're going to take a moment to go through each of our 6 new words, and as you know, we are circling our rating for the word before we learn what it means. A 1, you've never seen or heard the word before. 2, you've seen or heard it before, but you don't quite know what it means. 3, you know what the word means. You could explain the definition. 4, you're an expert on this word. You know it, you could define it, you can use it, you could teach it to somebody who doesn't know the word. All right, our first word is adroit. Second word is blunder. Third, pompous. Fourth is waver. The 5th is invariable. And the 6th word is cower. All right, so someone who is adroit is clever and skillful. An adroit leader will be able to persuade people to go with their ideas because they are skillful in many ways. Most notably, it's going to be speaking, right? If you're an adroit leader, your speeches are going to be persuasive. An adroit sculptor, on the other hand, can turn a lump of clay into an object of great beauty. So they, instead of it being speech, they would be adroit with their hands. So again, adroit is very skillful or clever. It can apply to anything that you can do really well. You can be athletic and be adroit. You can be an artist and be adroit. You can be a speaker, a politician and be adroit. Their rugby team consists of several adroit players, right? They're very skillful players. So that's also a little tip for using this word. Since skillful is also an adjective and it's a perfect synonym for adroit, you can write any sentence where you're describing someone as skillful and then just replace it with the new vocabulary word. Although Herman proved quite adroit at carpentry, he was never able to sell any of his pieces. Quite skillful. All right, our next word is blunder. A blunder is an embarrassing mistake. Accidentally calling your new boyfriend by your old boyfriend's name, that's a blunder that you definitely don't want to repeat. Very hurtful. So has an embarrassing mistake ever made you feel like you're stumbling around with your eyes closed? Yeah, that's why the word blunder is used to describe a mistake. Because in Old Norse, the word blundra means to shut one's eyes. So it's kind of like when you're blundering around, when you're making a mistake, you're not seeing clearly, you're blind, and being blinded and not able to see is what actually leads to the mistake. So again, a blunder is a noun, and it's a bad mistake made because of stupidity or carelessness. The groom made a blunder when he called the bride the wrong name. Yeah, that's a pretty big blunder and like the worst time that you could ever possibly make it. All right, our next word is pompous. A pompous person is arrogant or conceited. He'll walk into a party with an inflated ego, ready to tell anyone who will listen that I'm kind of a big deal. So arrogant is a really great synonym for pompous. Someone who's pompous is arrogant. They usually exaggerate how great they are. Now, in modern times, we associate the adjective pompous with self-important jerks. But it actually comes from the old French word pompous, which means stately. That's part of the reason why in graduation ceremonies we march down the aisle with the song Pomp and Circumstance. It's not pomp like you're arrogant. It's pomp like the old-fashioned French meaning stately. And it would used to be used to describe things that were ceremonial or stately. But again, we are using it in the more modern meaning of it, that you are puffed up with vanity, you're arrogant. You show, when you're pompous, an attitude towards people that you think you're better, smarter, more important than them. The millionaire was a pompous man who believed he should never wait in line for anything. He was puffed up with vanity. He was arrogant. All right, our next word is waver. Waver is a verb that means that you're moving back and forth. So you can physically waver. You can also waver in your opinions. 1 minute you think you're going to stay home, And then the other minute you think you're going to go out to meet your friends. And then you're wavering back and forth, unable to make a final decision. So waver comes from the Old English word wolfray. God knows if that's how you pronounce it. But it means restless. So when the wind blows, it makes the leaves and the flowers waver. They move in the same direction. It could almost, in a figurative way, appear as if the leaves and the flowers are restless. Right? Because when you're restless, you can't stay still in one place. You have to move constantly back and forth. A person who wavers is much the same way as those leaves being pushed around by the wind. A person who wavers is affected by any influence or change. Usually a confident person is the opposite of somebody who wavers. If you're confident, you stick with what you believe. Someone who isn't sure what to do, or maybe they're too shy to express what their preference is, or right up until the moment when a decision has to be made, they might be wavering the whole time. So again, when you waver, you go back and forth between choices or opinions. You're uncertain about what you think about something or someone. Although John thought he wanted to attend a local college, he has started to waver on his choice and is now considering other schools. All right, our next vocabulary word is invariable. So it's an adjective, and you use it to describe something that's unlikely to change, such as your invariable custom of eating deep dish pizza every Saturday. You can hear the word vary in the word invariable. Something that varies, changes, or is made up of different kinds of things. But we know that when you add the suffix able, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're able to do something. But in means not. So if it's invariable, it's not able to be changed. So synonyms for invariable would be something that's constant, something that's fixed, something that is immutable. Someone who's invariable in her habits may seem predictable and boring, but somebody else from a different perspective who appreciates that might see them as steady and reliable. So again, invariable is an adjective. You're always the same. You're not changing. You're not capable of change. You stay the same. The orchestra's performance of that particular piece is invariably, adverb form, received with a standing ovation. It always receives a standing ovation. Or you can say she had an invariable routine, an unchanging, never-changing routine of always reading before bed. Like me, Miss Arlequin. All right, our next word is cower. To cower is to shrink in fear. Whether they live in the country or the city, any mouse will cower when a huge, hungry cat approaches. When you cower, you're not just afraid. You're so terrified that your whole body is actually moving away from what you fear. You're cringing, you're crouching, you're shrinking in on itself to hide from the source of your fear. So we see this a lot in horror movies. Victims of a school bully cower whenever he comes near. They're in no rush to have their lunch money stolen again or to get another wedgie, so they cower to avoid being seen. Now, although a coward might cower in fear, the two words are not related to each other. They're not part of the same word family. So finally, once again, cower is a verb. If you're cowering, you're moving back, you're bending your body down because you are afraid. When he was afraid, the little puppy would crouch down and cower in fear. All right, so you know what to do now. Of course, we are going to take our new vocabulary words and apply them in our own writing. So we're going to be writing example sentences for the word. As always, writing a second sentence will get you extra credit. No matter how many sentences you write, you want to make sure that you are being as detailed as possible, that you include enough context clues so that somebody who doesn't know the word could just use your sentence to kind of figure it out. And that's why you always want to try to include as many of the 5 W's as possible. And as always, bonus points are given to anybody who can write a sentence that not only uses the current word, but uses one of our previous vocabulary words. And that can include anything from 6th or 7th grade. Don't forget to bring your vocabulary sheet to class tomorrow so that we can trade with a partner and we can do an activity with these new words.